at the volume of a triangular prism. Okay, and this is our example of a triangular prism. And we've got to kind of try to make sense of it. Now it can be hard to see because this is a three-dimensional shape, but we're technically in what they would call two-dimensional space. There's really no 3D here. It's just a flat surface we're looking at, so it can be kind of hard to see stuff. We can color in all the faces, but what we're going to do after is we're going to go to a little program that'll help us visualize it. But I'm going to color this to be our first face. Okay, so here's our yellow one. This would be considered our first face here. You call this number 1. And then there's identical triangular face on the back. Okay, and that's why this is called a triangular prism, because we have two triangles as the main faces. Okay, so here are our two faces. And then there are rectangles that make up the rest of the faces. And this is where it gets hard to see. There's a rectangle on top here, and it's going to like take up all of that space. There's a rectangle on the bottom there. Okay, and then there's a rectangle on the back end. And if I colored them all in, it would just end up all being green, so it's kind of hard to see. But when we go to this little program here, we can kind of see. Maybe we'll zoom in. Can I zoom? There we go. We'll zoom in a little. So like we said, here's our first triangular face. Okay, so this one's red, just like we talked about. And then, let's see if I can get to the back. There we go. We'll color the other one red. So the two reds are the triangular faces. And then we're going to have 3 rectangular faces. We'll do them green. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here's our triangular prism. And when we turn it into a net, and we zoom out a little, we can kind of see what it looks like, right? We have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 faces. So for surface area, it's really important that we know that. But we're going to look at volume. And volume, all you really have to do is multiply or find the area of the face and then multiply by the height of the object. So let's take a look at what we got again. Here's a rectangular prism. The height or the depth, what we're looking at, this we'll call the height or the depth of it, whatever you want to call it. And that will be this rectangular line here. So all we have to really do is find the area of that first face or the second face, because they'll both be the same. And then we just got to multiply it by the height. And that's the same if you're doing like a cylinder. Cylinder is a type of prism. Triangular, we could do rectangular prisms. So I'm going to give it some values here. We're going to say that the this was 2 inches high, and we'll say it's 3 inches in depth. And because this is kind of a right angle triangle, this will be the height of that triangle. Okay, that's the height of the triangle, and this is the base. So the area of a triangle, I'm not sure if you know what it is, but it would be the base times the height, and then do they tell you times a half or divided by 2?
Divided by 2.
Divided by 2? Okay, so let's say divided by 2. And it's technically the same thing if we say times a half. But here's our area of a triangle. So what's the base in this question? What's the measurement of our base?
3 inches.
Yeah, 3. So we're going to replace the b with the number 3. And then what is the height?
2 inches.
2 inches, good. So we're going to replace the h with the 2. And then we're going to have the area of our triangle. So we have 3, I guess I should do that in blue. Number 3 times our height, which was green, times 2. And all of that's going to be divided by 2. I'm going to tell you right now it's going to be 3 because there's a little simplifying trick. But 3 times 2 will give us 6 divided by 2. Okay, so the area of the triangle. And then 6 divided by 2 is going to be 3. So is it just 3 inches?
No.
What is it?
3 inches squared.
Yes, and that's very important because otherwise if it was just 3 inches that wouldn't make sense. That means it's the exact same as the base there. So it's 3 inches squared, which is great. And I didn't give us a height. I'm just going to say it's 5 inches. Okay. So now that we have the area of the face, think of it like this. I'll try to draw. We have our triangle. And the goal here is to make little sections across this triangle. Each of them is like an inch wide. 2, I can't believe how well I'm doing this by freehand. 3, oh, not that. 4, and 5. Okay, so this is the idea. That's why I try to mimic that there. We know that the face or the area of this one here, we just figured it out, is going to be 3 inches squared. Okay, let's get a little. Okay, 3 inches squared. Okay, and then the height represents, think of it like it's 1 inch at a time, right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to multiply by those 5 inches. And we'll no longer be squared because we'll be in 3-dimensional space. When we get our answer, what will it be?
Cubed.
Cubed, that's right. Okay. So I'm going to give you a formula for volume of a triangle. Volume of a triangle is equal to the base times the height of the triangle divided by 2. And then that is times, we'll call it the depth. We'll use the letter D. Okay, so I've given you lots of letters here. Now, we've already figured out what the base times the height divided by 2 is. What did we discover it was?
3 inches.
Yeah, it's 3 inches. So we can kind of replace this part of the formula with the number 3. Okay, so we'll write that in. We know that's 3. And what was the depth of our shape?
5 inches.
5 inches. So it's times the number 5. Okay, so now we have 3 times 5. Do you know what that's going to give us?
15 inches cubed.
15 inches. Very good. Cubed. Good. Because it's 3-dimensional, we're now in cubed space here. Okay, so that's like a little formula you could use to solve it. But it's also easy if you just break it into an area and then multiply it times the depth. But that's the idea behind it. And that was our shape, right?